All
All right.
right. We back.
Yeah, we are back. And we're back. All right. September 4th, 2022, part two of Triple Option. As you can see, there's Coy, Zack, Mr. 411. For our second segment, we're going to discuss
One
the
second. Zach, you see where I hail from?
I
oh,
do.
Corey from Diamond
Hey,
Woods.
I'm glad you put that there, Calvin, because I didn't know where you were from, but now I do.
Yes, sir. All right, we're going to talk about Jackson State, FAMU, the Orange Blossom Classic, and a lot of things that all developments that led up all week leading up to this matchup. We are going to talk about week two, give you a preview of week two on the college slate, and that will include Coy's Alabama Crimson Tide playing the Texas Longhorns. So that's what we're going to chop up about now in part two. All right, gentlemen. Jackson State, FAMU, Orange Blossom Classic. Let's go. What are you looking to see in this matchup? And then and even before that, I mean, even on top of that, you talk about some of the things that have been going on in both universities, both respective areas, leading up to this matchup.
Well, the first thing everybody knows, look, the people of Jackson are dealing with a water crisis.
Yep.
Let's not just we're not gonna go political, but y'all need to vote every damn body out, from the governor to the mayor. But anyway, we'll keep it moving. That's as simple as it gets. Get rid of all of them.
Yeah.
Ain't arguing.
Yeah, there is a major water crisis going on down there. There's in Jackson, Mississippi.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Fire the mayor and the governor. Okay?
That's a great description. But yes, there's a water crisis going on. A lot of people are not able to even flush toilets, take baths, showers, all that stuff. Good thing there's some reinforcements coming in, trying to help out with the water supplies and things like that. I believe the mayor has reached out to President Biden and also Vice President Harris, and to see what else can be done to help out the Jackson, Mississippi area. So, on the less important side of things, it affects it's affecting the sports program as well. But they're going to persevere, according to Deion Sanders. Was Zach, anything else you had on that water crisis over in Jackson?
Just unfortunate. I didn't know it was that bad in Jackson. I guess they have a boil water thing or something every few months that they have to go through. I didn't realize it was that difficult there with their water. So I'd love to see the government or somebody get involved, and there's no way you can fix that to where they don't have to deal with those issues. Like, we're giving all this money away to other countries.
Yeah.
Like, let's float some money down there, even if it is like Calvin saying that it's just mismanagement. But hey, sometimes we gotta step in and do things for people that they can't do for themselves, because it's obviously they can't fix it. But it's got to be a way that could get resolved. I would think with all our technology.
There's a lot of ways to get it resolved, but all I'm saying is, once they get it resolved, get rid of their behinds. Get them all up out of there.
I'm cool with that.
Stop giving people jobs and not hold them accountable.
Amen. Now you sound like me. Amen. Hold people damn accountable.
There you go. All right. Speaking of accountability, Florida A&M has had several players. Well, several players, I think up to about 26, was it last week that missed?
It was.
Missed the game at
26 or 20?
Chapel Hill.
I think it was 26 initially.
Yeah.
And
it was due to academic transfer eligibility. And a lot of that was challenged this week. So there will be some returning players. But any comments on this as we go ahead and start discussing it?
I think they're down to 9 ineligible now, and it some of it also came from the academic advisors were giving them bad advice. So now I'm gonna go to what Calvin just said. Fire them. Like,
and every one of those reporters that labeled as academic ineligible is presented. Florida A&M had a bunch of dumb kids that couldn't make grades.
Yes,
Fired them too, because that's
because
actually the spin they try to come out with.
Yep.
And we have to be careful, and we have to watch the. Yes, technically, by the book is true, but the spin was because I heard several places, and then the scuttlebutt was, oh, they got a bunch of kids there with cheating. The kids can't get their grades, and no, that's not the problem. But nobody came back and cleared that up until much later.
Yeah,
because
and Corey, I think that and some of that was like the former, I guess the former whatever the title would be called, I guess over there in administration. I believe he stepped down, and no one knew he was going to do that. So he stepped down, and that helped cause some of the chaos. And then domino effect, there was other members, administrative members that stepped down. What left them down to basically one academic advisor. And you guys can probably speak on that more than anybody else. But with one academic advisor and then a football team of over 100, maybe 100 players, like how can they properly be advised and things like that, and how can the school handle the proper paperwork or things that has to be done for transfers and things like that.
To be fair, it's not the school's job; it's the program's job to handle that. The academic advisor assigned to that team. The
Yep.
school job is not. The school job is to process the information that is given.
and you make it a priority. I mean, I hate to say it, but if some of the coaches had to be academic advisors, you got to step up and get in there with grad assistants or however you got to do it, because ultimately that affects the coaches. If you ain't got players, it's going to be hard for you to play and or win, and
Right.
you're going to be looking for new employment.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, and you're trying to, and FAMU ultimate goal has been for the last 10 years to make the move all the way up. They gotta handle their business like a first rate school.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No
definitely.
excuses accepted. No excuses accepted.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel bad for Isaiah Land because he brought it back up because he wanted to transfer. And the guy on Jackson State is up there talking about, oh, don't run away. You can go to the pros from there and this. And it, like, sometimes it's not just about going to the pros or the competition. It's the whole, environment to, the stability that you're getting, being maybe having less stress of things that you have to worry about. So maybe it was other things like this that he was focused on and not just the football part.
Mm-hmm.
And now because he said Georgia was looking at him. I didn't know that Georgia was. I think he said Alabama too. I'm going to be honest. I don't know why he didn't take off. That should have been a no-brainer. But he made his choice. Here we are. Depending on how it goes, hopefully he has a successful season. He can go ahead and enter the draft. I would assume if he doesn't enter the draft, he will transfer after this season. But that's kind of it on that front as far as the external things they dealing with. Lord willing, both teams can go put a good game together and enjoy the atmosphere and help make it. It's the celebration, isn't it?
It's the Orange Blossom Classic. Basically, this game, as Orreaion stated last week, is going to put a lot on the line. Where it comes down to the team that wins is going to pretty much lead the way as far as making it to the Celebration Bowl. Like last season, Jackson State won 7-6, pretty much kept them on track to go to the Celebration Bowl, and then FAM made it to the playoff. So it's probably going to pretty much determine which team goes to the playoff. But just some quick context on what happened up there. Courtney Gaucher was the FAMU athletic director at that time. He resigned without notice. So he dipped out of there. And several compliance members left as well. So that's what left them down to one administrator at that time.
And usually when that happens, there's something coming later. I'm just saying. when people start resigning on college football teams, especially with its staff members like academic advisors, whatever, it's something that's usually coming a little bit later.
Let's hope not. But you are probably correct, Calvin. They get out of Dodge before they get the stink on them.
Yeah.
And then they can deny. Oh, I didn't know.
Hey guys, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. And then Coach Willie Simmons in an interview this week had mentioned something about and I don't know all the technicalities behind it, but certain things the coaches cannot do, according to the NCAA. So I guess there was some things that they couldn't do as far as advising the players. Right. But they did bring in the president, Dr. Robinson, the interim president. He promised to hire 5 compliance officers and 2 academic advisors. And so that stuff was put in place because the players did step up and they signed a petition. I believe 87 players signed it, and they demanded better assistance with their athletic advisement. So that's a good thing that they did to step up like that.
Well, it's a shame that they have to do it because that's something that just should be provided to you by the institution. Because here's the reality. And there's always questions of, well, why don't these black athletes go to HBCUs or what have you? Like, now you're going to go try to recruit a young man or young lady because, you're getting both type of athletes. And you're sitting there and you're going to talk to their families about education. And they going to mention this episode right here. And yeah, you're fixing it now, but what's your plan to make sure something like this doesn't happen again in the future? And those are things that whoever the coaches are, whoever the people out there recruiting are going to have to be able to answer for individuals that care about the education. Because let's be real, like, it's hard to go to the pros from the Power 5 conferences. Once you get to this level right here, the reality is most of the athletes should be thinking about their career in life, not their career in a professional sport.
Amen.
So how are you going to help them reach that goal?
Exactly.
Yep. And we'll see what they do. Well,
I'm moving around a little bit, but I'm with you.
No, we hear you. You good. But yeah, so with that said, Zach, that's the things that, the institutions need to put in place. And it looks like that's what they're working to do. They have a good coach in Willie Simmons, former quarterback at Clemson. So they made a good quality hire, got a good young coach there. Obviously, they're recruiting pretty well, too, and they're bringing in transfers. So we'll see what that all lays out for that FCS program. We'll jump into the matchup now.
Oh, one more before we
go. Go ahead, Zach.
And I talked to Orreaion about this, our other host on here. And I said, we always focus on that 40 acres and a mule that we as black people were supposed to get to as part of our reparations or what have you. But instead of that, because it's probably not coming anyway, how about the government float a lot of money to the HBCU institutions? Because it seems like HBCUs kind of always have some financial stuff going on. So give them some lump sums of money, and, within guidance and restrictions of things that they have to do to help get the institutions get some stability so they can build up like a Duke or a Kentucky or a Georgia or Alabama or Stanford or what have you.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to hire the personnel so you won't have stuff coming up like this, because it is kind of embarrassing. Like it may not seem like it, but my family's an HBCU family, your family's an HBCU family, and I want to see those institutions do well.
Yeah, well stated, Zach. And way to put that demand out there for our president. And hopefully, President Biden is listening.
I know he's like, I got enough stuff on my plate without you trying to add more. Sorry, sir.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into the matchup then.
All right.
Fam, we'll go ahead and throw Orreaion. He already predicted that Fam was going to win this, right? Because so we already know what his prediction is. But before we get to your predictions, Zach and Coy's, what are some things you're looking at in the matchup?
I want to see Travis Hunter. Everybody like Malachi Starks, as I told you in the first hour, looked every bit like a 5-star. Malachi Starks, he's legit. Like, I, I'm probably going way above board, but the safety we had last year, Lewis Seen, I think was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. I think he's more talented than that guy already. Like already more talented than Lewis Seen. So if Travis Hunter, I think he was supposed to be the #1 recruit in the country or whatever.
Right.
Yep.
I want to see it. Like you can like certain things you can see it, and I want to see like it can be a wait and see approach sometimes, but I want to see his talent look different than the other talent that's out there on the field. Because if it doesn't look different, then either he was overrated or he's not getting coached up. So that's the first thing I'm looking for.
Any concerns about the ankle injury that he supposedly has been coming off of, and hearing that Dion, and it could be gamesmanship, but Dion saying that he may not play as much as we think he should.
It's easy. If you out on the field, you expected to perform. You can either play or you can't play. If you can't play, then you don't need to be on the field. But I'm not giving you an excuse. Absolutely. If you on the field, it's a standard of excellence. You need to meet the standard and or exceed it. And you ain't gonna get no excuse for that. If you can't play, don't play.
All right. Well, you guys mentioned that Isaiah Land is going to play, and here's some of the guys that are returning, young men: Bowler, Colvin, Dixon, and Land. So they landed here, and they're gonna land in Miami, and they're gonna roam the land in Miami. And we're gonna see how this defense matches up. In my opinion, I want to see how this defense matches up, and how Shedeur Sanders handles this situation, because this is probably going to be one of those tougher matchups, and it's coming right out the chute. And we'll get to see another year behind behind center with Shedeur, and see what his development is. I'm curious about that matchup. And then also,
I'll be right back, fellas. I'm finna move out for about 5 minutes.
Okay, you just come on back. And so also, Zach, want to see Musa again, because good against Carolina. And the former Vanderbilt quarterback, he really was reading he was going through his progressions and everything. So unlike last season, Jackson State really, their defense was ahead of FAMU's offense last year. And I think that Jackson State's offense and FAM's defense was about the same. So I think that's what was the major difference last year. And now with FAMU actually having a, what is it, FBS level quarterback, behind center, I think this is going to make it an interesting game, man. And we'd like to see the chess match between the two coaches, Willie Simmons and Deion Sanders, and see how this works. Deion, as you stated, as you talked about earlier with Nick Saban, he bolstered his coaching staff as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if Saban advised him to do things like that, bringing in Zimmer from the Minnesota Vikings, former NFL head coach. So it'll be interesting to see, man. I think we're going to be in for a high scoring matchup this week. Today, unlike last year's 7-6 game.
Well, I will be watching, and the thing with you would expect that FAMU, because I don't think Jackson State hasn't played a game yet, right?
Correct.
So you would expect that FAMU should be at least a little more in sync early on, because they've had a game to go through, and offense is always about the cohesion and how the parts work together. Defense, a lot of you're just reacting to the offense. But one person on the offense doesn't do their job, it can blow up everything. And this will be a good test for Jackson State. And I gotta be honest, at least in my mind, Deion has some pressure on him. There are expectations now of probably them winning all of their games, but definitely them expectations of them not winning, but just winning big. So I want to see how his team lives up to it. And it's unfortunate that both of these teams have had to go through the things they've had to go through, because it kind of, to a degree, will take away from the game for these guys.
Yeah.
Like, they should just really be able to focus on football.
Yep. We're definitely going to test their mental state. We'll see which team is mentally ready for it. And again, a lot at stake, as Orreaion stated last week, a lot at stake in the first game. So that's entertaining in itself and worth tuning in for. And it's a good thing they're able to get a spotlight game on a Sunday, Labor Day weekend.
Absolutely. And for me, I hope FAM wins, because if Jackson State doesn't win, they lose this game and win all the rest of their games, they would go to the playoffs like FAM did last year. And then I can see how they can compete. Because for me, I want to see them go to the playoff. I know the Celebration Bowl is a big deal, but I'd rather see them in the playoffs. But of course, Coach Sanders, Coach Prime, he wants to win all his games. So he ain't trying to lose no game just to go to the playoffs. And I get that too. So maybe there's something that could be done in the future, that there could be a happy medium or something of that nature to have that bowl game played and you still get to play a playoff game. Yeah.
That would be that's definitely should be a move there that they should make. Figure out a way to play that game, and then in between, that's we just talked about the 12-team playoff scenario that's coming up. So, and they got to find a way to get games in between. So I think that can happen too, Zach, which will make a lot of sense. So that'll be good. All right, well, we're going to jump into week 2.
All right. Week 2.
Week 2 preview.
I think week 2 is going to be a little bit of a drop off from week 1. We'll see how the rankings come out, but it'll be, I'm not sure we get all of the great matchups. As we were going through it in production, I see Calvin and you are more excited about some of those matchups than I am, which is good. But still, football's back.
I actually, I'm just looking. I always like to see the matchups with the Power 5 conferences. You know what I'm saying?
I get you.
Because it gives us a preview of what to expect when bowl season comes along. The playoffs, as what I used to call the playoffs.
Jim Moore.
And believe it or not, for recruiting purposes, most of those schools actually, when they go on the recruiting, why would you want to go to the SEC, or why would you over here look at our record versus them?
Well,
let me pull some of the matchups that I am more curious about.
Okay.
Go ahead, Zach.
Alabama, Texas.
Well, we definitely want to save that one, right? Okay, here we go. There we go. Here's 3 matchups right here.
That's the premier matchup.
There's South Carolina and Arkansas.
No, there's 2 matchups right there.
I don't know. The Vanderbilt Wake Forest will be interesting, because from an educational standpoint, I think they're similar type teams.
Smart Kid Bowl.
And Vanderbilt needs that game. Like, they should be, like, Wake Forest shouldn't be more dominant than you. Like, y'all are kind of the same class. So this Vanderbilt should be able to compete and not get blown out. And the Arkansas South Carolina thing is important, because I think maybe in Arkansas's mind that they think they're the second best team in the West, and that they think they can compete with Alabama. If that's the case, they didn't have a dominating win yesterday, but they did beat Cincinnati. But if you're trying to compete with Alabama, you should be able to handle a team that's not ranked like South Carolina. Like, it shouldn't be a dogfight. You should win comfortably. And if they can't do that, then, I mean, of course, we already know they're not in Alabama's class. But if you're trying to make that move and get there, those are the things that you have to start doing. That's why I said earlier, I do think you can learn from these matchups of what a team looks like. Like yesterday, I felt like watching Ohio State. I'm like, they did get there at the end of the game, but I was like, Ohio State their defense don't look much different now. Like, because I didn't feel like Notre Dame was firing off the ball, blowing Ohio State off the ball. And I didn't see the Ohio State receivers just running everywhere. I know what Jackson Enigma got hurt or whatever, but I mean, you're Ohio State. Injuries gonna happen in football. You should have other players. So I wasn't overly impressed with that. And I'll go. What did we say? Florida and
Florida and Kentucky.
I'll be like Florida.
Kentucky.
Florida can make a move.
/ division game. So.
And I like Napier. Like Napier was good. I want to say he was at Louisiana. Napier is a nice coach. It wasn't a higher move that maybe moved the needle and got you all excited, but Napier feels like he can coach. So at least from a strategic standpoint, that's good for Florida. Kentucky has made good moves with Stoops there. They've kind of pushed the program to being a legitimate football school, or at least, they're a legitimate football program now. They're in that 8-9 range, win range yearly, which is acceptable, especially for Kentucky. So for Florida, this would be he already got the win against Utah, but what sometimes is difficult is not handling losing, but handling winning and handling success. Florida's probably going to get a lot of people patting them on the back this week, tell them how good they are. Now you got to go play Kentucky, and you need to go out there and have another good ball game, not, lay an egg.
All right, what about USC?
Who do they play?
Stanford.
Because every game for. And I think they on the road. So, who is that again? I always want to call him Lane Kiffin, but he's not Lane Kiffin. Freaking Lincoln Riley. Every game for Lincoln Riley is big at USC because he's making $10+ million, and you got to see how his offense works. So
exactly,
he's on audition every night.
And traditionally, that's a trap game.
Hey man, speaking of trap games, what about Tennessee and Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh came off with a close game there, victory over West Virginia at home. But now Tennessee, this is the rematch from last season. This game was played at Tennessee last year. Pittsburgh is ranked, look like they're ranked 17th in the country. We'll definitely get to see what Tennessee is really about. But just give us y'all give me an idea of what you think about this game.
Well, Orreaion's afraid of Tennessee. He thinks they're going to beat us when they come. Like, he thinks they're our biggest threat coming to Athens. I'm not so sold on Tennessee. So, as Calvin said, games like this gives you an idea, because while Pittsburgh isn't a upper echelon team, they're a good team, and you're going on the road. So if Tennessee can find a victory, and if they can look good in it, I might get concerned as a Georgia fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you gotta look at it like this. Like you showed the graph we showed in the other broadcast, Pitt was actually one of the teams that would quote unquote be in the 12-team playoffs. So you start looking at that that's why I say I like to see those rankings from conference to conference.
All right. Any more matchups?
Wisconsin and Washington State.
Okay. What's your take on that, Coy?
My take is that Wisconsin's going to do what they do every year: show up early, and we're all going to be like, this is going to be the team to upset Ohio State and Michigan, and then all of a sudden it's going to take a turn to what it really is. You know what I mean? Because Wisconsin is like that borderline perennial powerhouse in their conference. It's like always a step away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, because they got the masters up front, and they tend to lack the speed on the edges. So we'll see.
All right. Well, that's another matchup to take a glance at. All right. Before we get to the Alabama-Texas game, Gotta give a shout out to Blackjack TV. We are on Blackjack TV as well, ladies and gentlemen. So if you go to blackjacktv.net, you will find all of our shows there as well. So we thank the Jack.
Yes, thank you.
Boy, let's talk about your squad before we get out of here. Alabama and Texas.
Let's go.
Well, you should let me go first, Calvin, so you can finish it off. Because it seems like I'm more complimentary of your squad than you are.
Go ahead.
Hey, Georgia is the champ, but Alabama is the standard. And this is what Georgia's trying to get to. And outside of Georgia games, I watch a whole bunch of Alabama games. I watch a whole bunch of Arkansas games for various reasons. And I want to see what Alabama looks like. I'm not sure how good Texas is, but I need to see, does Alabama have any cracks in the armor? I already saw Bryce Young yesterday. Looks great. So I already know when we're on the field with them, their quarterback's better than ours. But more importantly, oh my God. And I wish I had got with the production team earlier. Will Anderson just crushed their running back on a read option. And I'm the quarterback just said, the hell with that. I'm not holding on to it. And he let those two players are amazing. Jermaine Burton looked much better. I'm not sold on that Georgia Tech kid, what all the hubbub was, but he averaged 10 plus yards a carry yesterday. So he's a something. It will be, I expect Alabama to be Alabama. It's a matter of watching what Texas can do. Texas has their running back. I ain't worried about that quarterback Quinn Ewers. I expect him to get harassed or a couple picks or whatever. But can Alabama stop? I think it's Robinson, the running back. If I had that wrong, I apologize. But can they stop him? Because that's going to let me know the blueprint of what Georgia can do. Can you run on Alabama? Because Texas, I think, should want to shorten the game, take the ball out of Alabama's hand as much as they can. And maybe you hope Alabama gets a mistake here or there and you can capitalize. Plus, the more you run the ball, the less Will Anderson is going to be after your damn quarterback. Along with the...
Can y'all still hear me?
Yes, sir. Along with that other end. So, Alabama by 21. With all that said, it'll be a laugher.
The floor is yours, Coy.
All right. First thing I want to see. I want to see what Burton. What the other two wide receivers I was looking at? Holder and Pence can do against what I would say considered a true Division I level secondary. Now, whether Texas proved me wrong, we're going to find out. Next thing. What I did notice about that game last week was I want to see our defense at Alabama cause chaos. Even with almost 60 points scored, what I did not see was sacks. I saw hurries, no turnovers or anything produced by the defense.
Besides the shutout.
But again, when I'm talking about when you say when it's time for Georgia time, when it's time for Auburn time, when it's time for the playoffs time, you're not going to pitch shutouts. But what you are going to do, you're going to need your defense to create chaos. You need the turnover. You need the sacks. You need all that going on. No interceptions. Think about it. You score 55 points and you have nothing. Right or wrong?
Well, that's probably because Utah always said, "Hey, we got to get the ball out. We don't want number 31 coming to get us. Get the ball out, throw it short, be safe."
And if you're talking about getting the ball out, that means you should step up from the corners.
I understand what you're saying. I just my guess is
that's
the other coaches know what Alabama
had. You got a way more talent team played a weaker team, and you really don't get anything out of it. You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
But you look at the box scores, look at the stat line, because You don't see it's nothing impressive. You just see Alabama came out there, they threw the ball around, ran the ball around, and Utah didn't score, and they went home.
Yep, now you sound like an Alabama fan. Thank you, Calvin.
I mean, my thing with Will Anderson is this: you don't get any credit for him being a monster. You put him on Utah State, Alabama's gonna have problems with the kid. I don't care where he's at. You understand me?
That's true. But he's on your team.
True that. I gotta take him.
It's just like your quarterback. He's on your team. Because
Exactly.
if Georgia had your quarterback, I know we would win the national championship this year.
If Georgia had our quarterback, he would be transferred to Ohio State. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you were probably correct because we like to run the ball in the fourth quarter.
Yes, and we in Georgia's we just so the world knows, we all know that Georgia's technically not that I'm a Georgia hater. I have love for them, but I'm a Georgia boy. It just so happens Alabama comes first. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, what do you think Texas has to show you to even Texas? Well, the other part of it is I am curious to see now that we all know that Oklahoma and Texas end goal is to move into the SEC. I want to see how SEC ready Texas is.
They not. You don't have to. They not. So you ain't got to worry about that. I want to see, but you know what? I take it back because can they run the ball next week? That'll be the thing. You're gonna Sarkisian, I would think would want to like this should be the game where Robinson gets like 20 carries, if not 25. Like if he takes yours and wants to throw the ball 30, 40 times, then it's gonna be a terrible score. So yep, if they can impose their will on Alabama running the ball, then you're right. You'll get to see what they're like. But for some reason, be it that the OC or / head coach ain't gonna run the ball, or they won't be able to move Alabama off the line of scrimmage, I'm not sure they're gonna try to run the ball a whole bunch.
Sarkisian is not that type of coach anyway.
Well, then you're gonna have you love to say it, you have to play the line of scrimmage in the SEC on both sides of it. So Texas has you got a great running back that's supposed to be a first round potential type guy. I think giving it to him 20, 25 times is a good way to dictate the pace of the game.
All right.
Only problem with that is I don't care who you have in the backfield. There's only one Barry Sanders. If Will Anderson and the crew decide they want to spend their time 1 yard in the backfield, he can be whatever he want to be.
Okay, but you think dropping back throwing it is gonna be better for them with Quinn Ewers, who will be in his second game and his first game? Like you're talking about Alabama gets to play against a live opponent this week. Texas, this is about the highest level you could get of who you're gonna play against, and you want your quarterback throwing it 30 times.
I didn't say throw the ball 30 times, but Sarkisian, traditionally, he is a pro-style offensive coordinator with a little bit of the flair on the college side, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if he made his mind up that he's going to take that running back and run it down Alabama's throat, you're not going to do it. Most teams that have successful against Alabama is one, they come in with a unorthodox or something that Alabama's not used to, and typically over the last 5 or 6 years since they've been in the middle of this run, they have more problems with spread offenses with a splash of quick hit and run plays than they have over any other thing. Because when Alabama, most of the games we watch when Alabama has struggled, they've given up good big plays.
True. I mean, but hey, for me, I have a hard time believing Ewers in his second college start is going to be good enough to beat Alabama on his own.
I saw a gambler from Texas A&M on his fifth start. Give Alabama everything and then some, right?
If Alabama has one of those days where everything it goes bad, but then even as I said with Alabama, typically what happens, they have a drive to tie and or win the game, or they got a drive to stop the other team from winning. Like they're usually always right there. But it would be impressive if Texas can keep it to 10 or less. That's a win.
Yeah, And on a side note, whatever happened? Whatever happened to the coach from Texas A&M? What's his name?
You talking about Sumlin?
Yeah.
I thought he went to Arizona for a while, I believe, and I'm not sure. I think he's out of coaching. Wasn't he in the? What was it? Not the XFL, but what was the league they just had?
AAF, I believe it was the AAF or USFL. One of them.
He's a better coach.
Yeah.
He's a lot better coach than they gave him credit for.
More of a pro style coach.
But he was in one of those leagues recently, I think, coaching.
Yeah, he was in one of those, and they decided that everybody want to compete with Alabama, and he lost his job because he did the worst thing in the world. He was successful against Alabama early.
Well, raise that expectation, and so but we'll see. Hey guys, another great one, another banger, and appreciate everybody being on, man. We look forward to doing this again. And we'll find out how many points Alabama wins by. Will win their game by.
Well, as Calvin didn't say, I got him by 21 plus. Do you have him winning the game, Calvin?
I got him. Yeah, I got him winning the game tonight.
I wasn't sure.
14.
Wow.
I got about 14, 2 touchdowns. And like I said, my biggest thing is going to be my biggest watch this week will be to see production out of the wide receivers as how many of the wide receivers are productive. Because over the last 4 years, we've been spoiled. We've been able to run wide receivers in and out the game, and all of them produce. The other thing is, I want to see what kind of chaos our defense can create as far as turnovers, balls on the ground, and interceptions and sacks.
Yeah. My guess is they can produce a little bit, but you're right. I want to see too. That way we can start getting ready for that SEC championship.
And guys, I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see you all next week.
All right.
Triple option.
Sir.
Now, my biggest want for next week's show is I want to sit down and see what Sherrod does, and I want to dig deep into him and watch him, quote unquote, play against. Because last year I was disappointed in what I saw in these 2 minutes. So I'm curious to see, which I had to go do something at that time, to see Sherrod to showcase himself against what a quote will be his biggest rival or his biggest competition this year.
All right. Well, for Coy and Zack, I am Mr. 401. We thank you all for watching Triple Option. Catch us again next week.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one.
Georgia better be number 2 in the nation when we come back next week.
All
right. I appreciate everybody. Appreciate the listeners. Hit that like, subscribe, and that notification. And we appreciate you, Quay.
Thank you, Calvin.
No problem.
All right.
Mr. 411.
We are out.
Peace.